Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump and what bonds are telling him. Republicans held a closed-door meeting a few days ago. The topic of discussion was what the bond market was doing and how it might tank Trump's tax cut agenda. Extending Trump's tax cuts will cut government revenue by an estimated $4 trillion or so over the next 10 years. Currently, U.S. debt sits at $36 trillion and is growing by $2 trillion per year. Last week, U.S. Treasury yields on 10-year bonds hit a high of 4.79%. What does that mean? Republican Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina summed it up pretty well when he said, quote, "The buyers of our bonds are getting nervous that we're at the point that we cannot pay it back. That affects every one of us." Republican Representative Andy Barr of Kentucky provided a pretty accurate summary as well, saying, quote, "The bond market is telling Congress that if we don't get our fiscal house in order, everybody's mortgage rates, everybody's credit card rates, everybody's auto loan rates are going to continue to go up." So, what does this mean politically? The bond markets are sending a message. If Republicans enact inflationary policies, which a lot of Trump's stated positions are, bond vigilantes will probably emerge. You might want to get familiar with that term. Bond vigilantes are people who get worried about inflationary policies or debt risk, and they want higher yields. They sell their bonds, which sends yields up. When yields go up, the cost of borrowing goes up. That slows the economy. Everybody talks about the stock market, but the stock market is mostly reactive. The bond market has the crystal ball. If they're worried about inflation reigniting, you should too. So, how do Trump and Republicans cool fears about inflation? Well, they have to actually stick to their rhetoric about cutting the deficit, which means they probably can't cut taxes. And Trump needs to give up on most of his economic policies, especially his tariffs. He might ignore the bond market initially, but you can only do that so long. In 93 and 94, rising yields and bond vigilantes led to Clinton moving to cut the deficit. Some actually think the reason Clinton had a budget surplus was because of bond vigilantes making their move. James Carville joked about reincarnation at the time, saying, quote, "I would like to come back as the bond market. You can intimidate everybody." All of the warning signs are flashing that Trump's economic policies are not what the country needs right now. The question is whether or not anybody in D.C. is looking at the signs and whether those few people pointing at the signs are labeled rhinos or not. As we've talked about before, Trump is not coming into a booming economy on firm footing like he did during his first term. The economy is still recovering from the shock he gave it the last time and the pandemic. It won't take as long for Humpty Dumpty to fall, especially if he gets pushed. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.